Dr. Elena Martinez stood in front of the huge alien building and felt her breath turn to fog in the cold air of the space station that moved around planet Kepler 442b. The strange structure made no sense to her. Mind and the geometric shapes seemed to move and change when she looked right at them. The materials were so old that their machines could not even tell how ancient they really were. Commander Jake Sullivan watched from the glass room above as the team of scientists worked below him. 3 years had passed since humans first met the Veltar people from Space, and humanity had been allowed to help study what the aliens called old ruins from a dead race that once lived across all the stars. The Veltar were very tall beings that stood almost 10 feet high with shell-like skin that looked like crystal and many eye stalks on their heads. Since first contact, they had treated humans like polite adults might treat children. They said humanity was a young species that showed good promise, but would need hundreds of years of help to become real citizens of the galaxy. Their machines were much better than anything humans had ever built. They could travel faster than light and control energy in ways that made human computers look like toys. Dr. Alex Chen moved his scanner over part of the strange building and made a confused face at what the machine told him. Elena, you need to see this right now. The energy patterns are not random at all. There is math here that looks almost like something I have seen before. Elena walked over to him because her job was to study alien languages, and that made her the right person for this mission. The Veltar had shared their records of symbols from the old race, but the work of understanding them had been very slow. Most symbols still made no sense and were supposed to represent ideas that young species could not understand. When Alex changed the settings on his scanner, symbols began to appear on the surface of the building. They were not carved into the material, but somehow showed up because of the energy field itself. Elena felt shock hit her like being punched when she realized what she was seeing. That is not possible, she said in a whisper. Commander Sullivan spoke through the radio system. What have you found down there? Elena felt her hands shake as she moved them in the air above the symbols. They were simple compared to the complex math that the Veltar had shown them, but she could not mistake what they meant. Numbers, basic math, and something else that matched ideas from the most advanced science labs on Earth. Commander Elena said with a voice that was barely steady, I need you to call Earth right now. Make it the highest priority message, and do not let the Veltar listen to what we say. Dr. Ryan Foster was the team scientist who studied physics, and he had been quiet during all of this while his portable computer ran calculations as fast as it could. When he finally spoke, his voice carried both excitement and fear. Elena is right. These are not alien symbols at all. They are human, or at least they follow math rules that we developed by ourselves. But the Veltar dating methods say this building is more than 50,000 years old. The meaning of what this could mean hung in the recycled air of the space station like a coming storm. If humans had somehow been here before, and if they had built this technology that the Veltar thought was beyond current human understanding, then everything they had been told about the history of the galaxy was a lie. Elena began taking pictures of every symbol and every pattern while her mind raced through possibilities that seemed too wild to believe. In the corner of her eye, she saw movement. A Veltar observer named HFY was coming toward them with the smooth grace that suggested barely controlled worry. Dr. Martinez, HFY said through the translation machine that changed alien sounds into words humans could understand. Perhaps it would be wise to focus on the parts of the building that make more sense. These simple markings are likely just decoration rather than something important. But Elena had spent 3 years learning to read. Veltar body language and every eye stalk on HFY's head was pointed right at her scanner readings. The alien was not dismissive. It was afraid. Elena continued taking pictures while her mind worked through what she was seeing. The math was definitely human in style, not just the numbers but the way they were arranged and the logic behind them. Some of the formulas looked like things she had seen in advanced physics papers from Earth universities. Dr. Foster looked up from his computer with wide eyes. Elena, these energy readings are off the charts. Whatever this building is made of, it is still active after all these thousands of years. And the power source is something our science cannot explain yet. Alex ran more scans and found that certain sections of the building responded to his equipment in ways that seemed almost alive. When he moved the scanner over specific symbols, they glowed brighter as if recognizing the attention. Commander Sullivan came down from the observation deck looking worried. The Veltar are asking more questions about what we are doing here. They seem very interested in our progress all of a sudden. Elena looked around at the glowing symbols that surrounded them like messages from an impossible past. If these really were human symbols from 50,000 years ago, then humans had been traveling between stars long before they ever dreamed such things were possible. But how could that be true when all of human history showed they had always lived only on Earth? Ryan made a discovery that changed everything. When he pointed his scanner at a particular section of wall symbols began appearing that were definitely in English. Not Old English or ancient writing, but clear modern words that any human could read. Elena, everyone needs to see this right now. They gathered around the wall as Ryan adjusted his scanner settings. Words appeared in the air above the surface like a hologram made of light itself. Welcome home, children of Earth. If you can read this, then you have found your way back to us across the dark years. Elena felt like the world was spinning around her. These words were in perfect English, written by people who had somehow been here thousands of years before humans ever left their home. Planet HFY moved closer to their group, and Elena could see that all of the aliens' eye stalks were focused on their discovery. The Veltar observer was definitely not just curious anymore. It was watching them with the intensity of someone who was afraid of what they might find. Elena made a decision that would change everything for humanity. She activated her emergency transmitter and sent a coded message directly to Earth using frequencies that the Veltar did not monitor. We have found something that changes everything. Humans were here before, long before, and I think the Veltar have been lying to us about who we really are. 2 weeks after finding the strange symbols, Dr. Elena Martinez sat in the secure communications room on the space station, waiting for her secret message from Earth to arrive. Commander Sullivan had managed to set up the private channel by sending it through many different communication points to make it look like normal science data exchange. The holographic display came to life, showing Dr. Patricia Williams, who was the director of Earth's study of alien archaeology. Her face looked serious, and she was surrounded by stacks of papers and many secured computer screens. Elena, what you sent us has caused quite a stir. We have had our best people working day and night, and what this means is very significant. Patricia paused to choose her words carefully, even on the encrypted channel. We have run the math sequences through our historical databases. Some of these formulas appear in research papers published as recently as 15 years ago, but others. Patricia held up a tablet showing ancient mathematical notes. Others match calculations found in the private journals of Newton, Einstein, and Tesla. Work that was never published and never shared with anyone else. Somehow someone working on that building knew about ideas that our greatest minds developed in secret. Elena felt a chill that had nothing to do with the station's air systems. How is that possible? There is more, Patricia continued. We have discovered references in our own archaeological record that we previously dismissed as mistranslations or mythological stories. Ancient human texts from various cultures describing star travelers who would return someday. The Sanskrit epics, Sumerian tablets, even some Celtic legends. They all speak of humans among the stars who would come back to reclaim what was theirs. Back in the artifact chamber, Dr. Alex Chen had made his own disturbing discovery. Working with Dr. Ryan Foster, he had managed to activate a section of the alien technology using a combination of energy field, manipulation, and what appeared to be scanning for human biological markers. Elena Alex's voice carried excitement and worry in equal measure. The artifact is responding to human genetic markers. It is like it has been waiting for us. The chamber filled with soft light as holographic displays appeared around them. Star charts, technical drawings, and what appeared to be historical records flooded their view, but these were not the impossible symbols they had been studying. These were displayed in multiple human languages, some extinct for thousands of years, others contemporary. Dr. Foster's portable computer began receiving data streams that exceeded its processing capacity. This is incredible. The technology transfer rate is like it is downloading 60,000 years of scientific advancement directly into our systems. Commander Sullivan rushed into the chamber looking tense. The Veltar are requesting immediate access to your research area. They claim there has been an unauthorized activation of old race technology that could be dangerous. Elena looked around at the holographic displays showing star maps that included Earth's solar system marked with symbols she was beginning to recognize as ancient human notation. In one corner, a display showed what appeared to be a family tree, but instead of individuals, it tracked the development of human civilization across multiple star systems over thousands of years. Commander, Helena said slowly, I do not think we are the ones who need to be worried about danger. The chamber's main display activated, showing a message in perfect English to our descendants on Earth. If you are reading this, then our exile has ended and the time of return has come. You are not the young species they have told you that you are. You are the children of the stars, and it is time to reclaim your inheritance. The message was signed with a symbol that matched the emblem Elena had seen on the most advanced pieces of Veltar technology, but rendered in a style that was unmistakably human in its mathematical precision. Dr. Ryan Foster's hands flew over his computer as translation programs processed the incoming data. Elena, this is a technical manual. Ship designs, weapon systems, infrastructure blueprints. The technology level is centuries beyond what either humans or Veltar currently possess, and it is all tagged as Original Human Commonwealth Archive. Outside the chamber, they could hear the distinctive harmonic footsteps of multiple Veltar approaching at speed. Whatever was happening, their alien hosts had decided that the time for polite observation had ended. Elena grabbed her portable scanner and began downloading as much data as possible. Ryan, can you establish a transmission to Earth? Already on it, he replied with fingers dancing across his interface. I am using the artifact's own communication array. It seems to have protocols specifically designed for long-range quantum entanglement with Sol system. The holographic displays showed more incredible information. Ships that could travel between stars in days rather than years. Weapons that could destroy entire fleets with single shots. Most amazing of all, cities built in space that could house millions of people and manufacture anything they needed. Elena realized that everything humanity thought they knew about their own history was wrong. They had not evolved on Earth as they had always believed. Earth was a hiding place established by survivors of an ancient war that had raged across the galaxy 50,000 years ago. Dr. Foster continued reading from the technical manuals. Elena, according to this data, humans once controlled most of the galaxy. We had an empire that spanned thousands of star systems, and the technology was based on principles that work with human biology in ways that other species cannot replicate. The footsteps outside grew louder, and Elena could hear what sounded like the charging of energy weapons. The Veltar were no longer pretending to be friendly observers. Alex looked up from his own scanner. I am reading massive energy buildups from the Veltar ships in orbit. They are powering up weapon systems. Elena felt pieces of a massive puzzle clicking into place in her mind. The Veltar had not just found humanity by accident 3 years ago. They had been watching Earth, waiting for signs that humans were rediscovering their true heritage. And now that the secret was out, they were preparing to do something about it, as the blast doors began to cycle open, revealing a squad of Veltar in what Elena recognized as combat suits. She managed to send a single message to Earth. Using the artifact's communication system, we are not who they told us we are. The Veltar have been lying about everything. Humans once ruled the galaxy and they took it from us. They are afraid we will remember who we really are. Prepare for contact from your ancestors and prepare for war. The message transmitted just as the armed Veltar entered the chamber with weapons raised. Elena looked at the ancient human technology surrounding them and felt a strange sense of coming home. Whatever happened next, humanity would never again be fooled into thinking they were just a young species learning from their betters. The truth was out, and there would be no going back. Admiral Sarah Blake stood in the newly built war room deep beneath NORAD, surrounded by displays showing real-time intelligence from across human space. 3 months had passed since Dr. Martinez's transmission, and Earth had undergone the most rapid military and technological mobilization in human history. Report, Admiral Blake commanded, as General Kevin Moore entered with the latest intelligence briefings. Ma'am, we have successfully established contact with 7 previously unknown human colonies scattered across the galaxy. Each one was maintaining deep hiding protocols, waiting for what they called the awakening signal from the artifact. General Moore activated a holographic star map, showing human settlements far beyond the range of Earth's previous knowledge. Total population estimates suggest there are over 2 billion humans living in advanced technological societies that have been hiding from the Veltar Confederation for the past 12,000 years. Admiral Blake studied the data streaming across multiple displays. The truth had been staggering in its scope and implications. Humanity had not evolved on Earth as they had always believed. Earth was a refuge world established by survivors of an ancient war that had raged across the galaxy 50,000 years ago. "What is the status of the refugee fleet?" she asked. Colonel Lisa Turner reports that 3,000 ships have emerged from deep space concealment and are moving toward Earth. Their technology is General Moore paused, still struggling with the implications. Their technology makes the Veltar Confederation look like a backward civilization. Admiral, these ships do not just travel faster than light, they can manipulate space-time itself. Dr. Elena Martinez had been recalled to Earth immediately after her discovery, along with her entire research team. She now served as Chief Archaeological Advisor to Earth's emergency command structure, and her briefings had revolutionized humanity's understanding of galactic history. Admiral Dr. Martinez entered the war room carrying a secure tablet loaded with the latest translations from the artifact. "We have decoded more of the historical archives. The war that drove humanity into exile was not against some unknown alien threat. It was against the Veltar Confederation itself." The main display activated, showing historical records that painted a picture radically different from the official version humanity had been told. 50,000 years ago, humanity had been the dominant species in the galaxy, leading a vast interstellar civilization known as the Human Commonwealth. Their technology had been built on principles of harmony between organic intelligence and quantum manipulation, creating systems that could literally reshape reality at the subatomic level. The Veltar were a client species, Dr. Martinez continued. They were uplifted by human scientists and granted citizenship within the Commonwealth. But they harbored resentment about their dependent status and gradually developed their own competing power structure. Dr. Ryan Foster, now serving as Director of Recovered Technology Analysis, added his own disturbing findings. According to the technical archives, the Veltar did not develop their advanced technology through their own research. They stole it from human research facilities during what the archives call the betrayal. Their faster-than-light drives their energy manipulation systems, even their universal translators. All of it is based on corrupted copies of original human designs. Admiral Blake absorbed this information with the calm professionalism that had earned her command of Earth's defense forces. What triggered the war? Humanity discovered that the Veltar were conducting secret experiments on human populations, Elena replied, with her voice carrying barely contained anger. Genetic manipulation, psychological conditioning, attempts to create a more manageable version of humanity that would accept permanent subjugation. When the Commonwealth tried to stop these experiments, the Veltar launched a coordinated attack using stolen human technology combined with their own biological weapons. The star map updated to show the scope of the ancient conflict. Entire star systems had been devastated and worlds rendered uninhabitable. Billions of humans killed or forced to flee into the deepest regions of space. Earth itself had been established as a hidden refuge world, with its inhabitants' memories altered to believe they had evolved there naturally. The Veltar nearly won, General Moore added, but they made one critical mistake. They assumed that by stealing human technology they understood it. What they never realized was that human technology was designed to respond to specific genetic and quantum signatures. They could use it, but they could never truly master it. Dr. Foster activated another display showing the technical specifications of the approaching human fleet. The refugee ships that have been hiding in deep space have been maintaining and improving the original technology for 50,000 years. What they are bringing to Earth represents the most advanced civilization the galaxy has ever seen. Admiral, a communications officer, interrupted. "We are receiving a transmission from the Veltar Confederation. They are requesting immediate diplomatic contact and offering what they call renewed terms of partnership." Admiral Blake studied the message appearing on her screen. After 50,000 years of lies, manipulation, and genocide, the Veltar had finally realized that their young species was actually their creators returning home. The displays around the war room showed the true scope of what was happening. Human colonies across the galaxy were emerging from hiding, bringing with them technologies that made current Earth science look primitive. Weapons that could destroy planets, ships that could travel across the galaxy in hours, manufacturing systems that could build entire fleets from raw materials. Dr. Martinez activated additional screens showing genetic analysis data. "Admiral, we have also discovered something else disturbing. The Veltar have been conducting breeding experiments on captured human populations for thousands of years. They have been trying to create modified humans that would be more docile and easier to control. General Moore added his own intelligence reports. Our deep space reconnaissance has identified 17 Veltar research facilities, where these experiments are still ongoing. They have been kidnapping humans from isolated colonies and subjecting them to genetic modification. Programs. Admiral Blake felt anger building in her chest as she processed the full scope of Veltar crimes against humanity. They had not only stolen human technology and committed genocide, but had spent 50,000 years continuing to experiment on and torture human beings. Send a response, Admiral Blake commanded. Tell them that humanity accepts their request for diplomatic contact, but this time we will be dictating the terms, and inform them that we are aware of their ongoing research programs and demand the immediate release of all human subjects taught outside Earth's atmosphere. The first vessels of the returning human fleet began to decloak. Their forms shifted and flowed like liquid metal guided by thought itself. The ships were beautiful and terrible to behold, incorporating design principles that worked with the fundamental forces of the universe rather than fighting against them. Dr. Foster monitored the fleet's approach with instruments that could barely comprehend what they were detecting. Admiral, these ships are not just technologically advanced. They represent a completely different approach to science and engineering. They work with reality rather than trying to force it to comply with mechanical systems. The Veltar had spent 50,000 years building their empire on stolen human technology that they never fully understood. Now the original creators were returning home and the age of Veltar dominance was about to end. Admiral Blake looked at the displays showing Earth surrounded by vessels that represented the most advanced human technology ever created. The long exile was ending and the true reckoning was about to begin. Captain Nathan Brooks stood on the bridge of the UES Excalibur, the first ship of the returning human fleet to achieve orbit around Earth. The vessel itself defied conventional understanding of spacecraft design. Its hull seemed to shift and flow in response to the crew's needs, while its technology interfaced directly with human neural patterns through quantum entanglement. Field's incoming transmission from the Veltar flagship reported. Lieutenant Commander Rachel Martinez, who was Dr. Elena, Martinez's sister, and had been among the refugees found in deep space. Admiral Creathen requests permission to approach Earth for diplomatic negotiations. Captain Brooks studied the tactical display showing the Veltar fleet maintaining position at the edge of the solar system. 12 massive crystalline ships waited in what they undoubtedly hoped was a non-threatening formation. Their designs were clearly based on corrupted versions of ancient human Commonwealth technology. Open a channel, Captain Brooks commanded. The main view screen activated, revealing Admiral Creathen. The Veltar's crystalline shell showed the blue-green coloring that indicated advanced age and high status within their hierarchy. When Creathen spoke, the universal translator carried undertones of careful diplomacy mixed with barely concealed fear. Captain Brooks, on behalf of the Veltar Confederation, I extend greetings to the returning children of Earth. We hope that our two species can put aside the misunderstandings of the past and forge a new alliance based on mutual cooperation. From Earth's surface, Admiral Blake's voice joined the communication through quantum entanglement arrays that eliminated any possibility of light-speed delay. Admiral Creathen, humanity appreciates your interest in diplomatic resolution. However, we require full disclosure regarding certain historical events before any negotiations can proceed. Dr. Elena Martinez, now serving aboard the Excalibur as Chief Historical Advisor, stepped forward with data, tablets containing 50,000 years of recovered archives. Admiral Creathen, we have recovered detailed records from the original conflict. We know about the genetic experiments, the stolen technology, and the systematic elimination of human populations across 17 star systems. The translator struggled to convey Creathen's emotional state as his sensory stalks writhed in patterns that suggested extreme agitation. Dr. Martinez, those events occurred millennia ago under different leadership in different circumstances. The current Confederation had no involvement in those regrettable incidents. Captain Brooks activated additional displays showing real-time intelligence gathered by human reconnaissance ships. Admiral, our deep space monitors indicate that Veltar research facilities in the Proxima Nebula are currently conducting experiments on human genetic material. According to our analysis, these facilities have been operational for over 2,000 years. The silence on the Veltar flagship's communication channel stretched for several seconds. When Creathan finally responded, his tone had shifted from diplomacy to defensive justification. Those research programs are designed to better understand human physiology. For medical and compatibility purposes, the Confederation has always sought to improve relationships between our species. Dr. Ryan Foster, monitoring from the UES Excalibur's advanced sensor array, interrupted with urgent data. Captain, I am detecting quantum signatures from the Veltar ships that match weapon systems described in the Commonwealth archives. They are powering up targeting arrays. Admiral Blake's voice carried the cold authority of someone who had spent months preparing for this moment. Admiral Creathan, we are reading weapons activation aboard your vessels. Given the historical context of our relationship, we must interpret this as hostile intent. Captain Creathan's translated voice now carried open desperation. You must understand that the current galactic order depends on Veltar leadership. Human technology in the hands of younger species could destabilize entire sectors. We have maintained peace for 50,000 years. Captain Brooks looked around his bridge at crew members whose ancestors had spent those 50,000 years in exile. They had maintained their technology and culture while hiding from the species that had betrayed and nearly exterminated them. Many of these humans had been born in deep space, never seeing a planetary surface until Earth's reunion with its lost children. Admiral Creathan, Captain Brooks's voice carried the weight of 50 millennia of injustice. You maintained peace by nearly committing genocide and forcing the survivors to live as refugees in their own galaxy. That peace was built on our suffering. The tactical display showed movement from the Veltar fleet as 3 ships began advancing toward Earth's orbital zone. Their crystalline hulls began to glow with energy patterns that human sensors recognized as pre-firing signatures for weapons, systems originally designed by human engineers. Admiral Lieutenant Commander Martinez reported. The incoming ships are charging what appears to be a planetary bombardment array. Target appears to be Earth's major population centers. Admiral Blake's response came immediately through the quantum link. Captain Brooks, you are authorized to engage hostile targets. Protect Earth by any means necessary. Captain Brooks turned to his weapons officer, Commander Jason Hayes, whose family had maintained the ancient human weapons technologies for 200 generations. Commander, target the lead Veltar vessel. Show them what their stolen technology looks like when it is properly understood. The UES Excalibur seemed to ripple as its quantum manipulation arrays activated. Where Veltar technology required massive crystalline focusing systems and enormous energy expenditures, human technology worked in harmony with space-time itself. The ship's weapons did not fire energy. They convinced reality that the target no longer existed. Admiral Creathan's flagship simply stopped. No explosion, no dramatic destruction. It merely ceased to be a functioning vessel as its stolen human technology recognized its original creators and shut down in response to properly encoded quantum commands. All Veltar vessels, Captain Brooks transmitted on all frequencies. Power down your weapons and prepare to be boarded for inspection. Your crews will not be harmed, but your ships will be impounded pending resolution of war crimes dating back 50,000 years. The remaining Veltar ships began shutting down their systems in surrender. Their crews had witnessed the effortless destruction of their flagship and realized that resistance was futile. The technology they had stolen and corrupted for 50,000 years was no match for the original designs wielded by their creators. Dr. Foster monitored the Veltar fleet's power-down sequence with instruments that revealed the full scope of their technological dependence. Captain, their entire fleet is built around modified human designs. Without the quantum command codes that we possess, their ships are essentially helpless. Captain Brooks studied the data showing Veltar technology failures cascading across their entire fleet. The weapons systems were shutting down, the propulsion drives were going offline, and even their life support systems were beginning to fail as the stolen human technology recognized its rightful owners. Admiral Blake addressed both fleets from Earth's surface. To all human vessels, welcome home. To all Veltar personnel, you are now subject to the jurisdiction of the restored human commonwealth. Your species will answer for 50 millennia of crimes against humanity. As rescue shuttles launched from human ships to prevent the complete collapse of Veltar life support systems, Captain Brooks reflected on the irony of the situation. The species that had committed Genocide against humanity now depended entirely on human mercy for their survival. The Age of Exile was truly ending. But for the Veltar Confederation, a very different kind of reckoning was just beginning. 1 year after the confrontation at Earth, Director Elena Martinez stood before the newly constructed Commonwealth Senate. The massive space station was positioned at the gravitational balance point between Earth and Luna. Representatives from 47 human colonies, 3 allied alien species, and a delegation of Veltar survivors filled the chamber as humanity's first interstellar government in 50,000 years convened its inaugural session. The Commonwealth Restoration Committee has completed its investigation into historical war crimes and present-day violations of galactic law, Elena announced. Her voice was carried throughout the galaxy by quantum communication arrays that surpassed any technology the Veltar had ever achieved. The evidence is conclusive and overwhelming. Admiral Sarah Blake, now serving as Supreme Commander of Commonwealth Defense Forces, activated holographic displays showing the scope of Veltar crimes across millennia. 57 species had been subjugated, manipulated, or eliminated by the Confederation. Hundreds of worlds had been stripped of their resources to fuel Veltar expansion. Most disturbing of all, genetic experiments had continued unabated for 50,000 years, creating modified populations designed to serve as permanent subjects. The Veltar Confederation's government structure has been dissolved, Admiral Blake announced. Former Confederation territories will be administered by the Commonwealth until such time as local populations can establish legitimate self-governance. In the observation gallery, former Admiral Creathan sat with the other surviving Veltar leaders. Their once proud species was now reduced to fewer than 10 million individuals spread across a handful of worlds. The swift collapse of their stolen technology had left them unable to maintain their far-flung empire or support their massive population centers. Dr. Ryan Foster, now serving as Director of Technology Recovery, presented the technical findings that had shocked even the returning human refugees. Our analysis of Veltar technology reveals that they understood perhaps 5% of the systems they were using. Their version of faster-than-light travel was so inefficient that it required massive energy expenditures and caused significant environmental damage to the space-time continuum. Their energy weapons had a failure rate of over 30% because they never comprehended the quantum harmonics involved in their operation. Captain Nathan Brooks, recently promoted to Admiral of the Commonwealth Exploration Fleet, added his own findings from the liberation missions across former Veltar space. We have discovered over 200 human populations that had been hidden or modified by Veltar genetic programs. Most retained enough of their original DNA that our medical teams were able to reverse the artificial changes. We estimate that there are still several million humans living in the galaxy who do not even know their true heritage. Elena turned to address the Veltar delegation directly. Your species is not being condemned to extinction or exile. However, you will be required to provide full cooperation in locating and liberating all remaining human populations. You will also participate in environmental restoration of worlds damaged by your inefficient technology. In time, assuming good faith compliance, the Veltar may be permitted to govern themselves under Commonwealth oversight. Creathan stood slowly, his crystalline shell now showing the dull coloring that indicated stress and poor health. Director Martinez, my species accepts the terms you have outlined. We never understood what we had taken from you. The technology, the knowledge, the entire foundation of our civilization. It was all yours from the beginning. Dr. Elena Martinez nodded gravely. The Commonwealth recognizes that many current Veltar individuals had no direct involvement in the original crimes. However, your species benefited from genocide and theft for 50,000 years. There must be accountability. Commander Lisa Turner, representing the Deep Space Refugee Fleet, activated displays showing the new Commonwealth's expanding territory. Human colonies that had been hiding for millennia were emerging from concealment, bringing with them technologies and knowledge that made the returning civilization the most advanced in galactic history. The Commonwealth will establish new principles for interstellar relations, Commander Turner announced. No species will be denied the right to self-determination. No technology will be hoarded by a single civilization, and no species will ever again be forced into exile from their own galaxy. Admiral Blake addressed the full assembly. Our long exile taught us valuable lessons about survival adaptation and the importance of preserving truth across generations. We returned to the galaxy not as conquerors, but as guardians of the principles that made human civilization great before the betrayal. The displays around the Senate chamber showed the scope of the new human civilization. Thousands of ships moved between star systems carrying supplies, technology, and people to rebuild what had been lost. Manufacturing stations the size of small moons produced everything needed to support billions of humans across hundreds of worlds. Elena activated the final display showing star charts with planned exploration routes extending beyond the galaxy's rim into regions that no known species had ever reached. The Commonwealth's immediate priority is restoration and reconciliation within our galaxy. However, our ultimate goal remains the same as it was 50,000 years ago: the expansion of knowledge, the protection of freedom, and the exploration of infinite possibilities. Dr. Foster presented the latest technological developments that had emerged from combining the knowledge of the refugee fleets with Earth's scientific advances. We have developed new forms of faster-than-light travel that can cross the entire galaxy in days, rather than months. Our manufacturing technology can convert raw stellar matter directly into finished products. Most importantly, we have learned to work with the fundamental forces of reality, rather than fighting against them. Admiral Brooks added his report on the exploration missions that were already underway. We have made contact with 12 species that were previously unknown to galactic civilization. All of them have requested membership in the Commonwealth after learning about our principles of freedom and cooperation. We expect to expand to over 100 member species within the next 5 years. As the Senate session concluded, Elena looked out through the station's transparent viewports at Earth hanging in space like a blue jewel against the starfield. Surrounding Earth, hundreds of human ships from dozens of colonies worked together to restore the homeworld's technology and infrastructure to Commonwealth standards. The Great Exile was over. Humanity had returned to the stars not as the naive young species the Veltar had pretended they were, but as the galaxy's original elder race reclaiming their birthright, and this time they would ensure that no species would ever again face the choice between subjugation and exile. In the depths of space, automated beacons began broadcasting on frequencies that would reach the galaxy's most distant regions. To all human populations, wherever you may be hiding, this is the Commonwealth calling. It is safe to come home. The stars belong to humanity once again. Elena smiled as she watched more ships decloak and head toward Earth. Each one carried humans who had spent their entire lives believing they were alone in the universe, only to discover they were part of the galaxy's greatest civilization. The return was just beginning, but already it was clear that humanity would never again be deceived about their true nature. The Veltar had discovered too late that their young allies were actually their ancient creators returning from exile. Now across the galaxy, the true age of human civilization was beginning anew, and this time nothing would stop humanity from reaching its full potential among the stars.